This is the moment I've been waiting for in this tournament. One and all, welcome back to the competitive Age of Empires 4 action. We know the two Canadian bros can be unstoppable when they team up as a duo. The question on my mind, the thing that we are here to answer, is what happens when you introduce the anarchy of two additional players. That's right, because this team in the north, we've got Puppy Paw and Wham in the purple and blue, but they're being joined by Eric Boss and Morgan Freeman. Okay, that's a brilliant name. Dude, I wasn't expecting that. That kind of chalked me up. So these two are Vietnamese players. The ruling on this tournament is that you can actually have a mixed nationality tournament, but it is 2 and 2, right? So you can only have, or not 2 and 2, you can only have two nationalities rather. So this is a half Canadian, half Vietnamese squad versus a full Chinese stack. And as we all know, the Chinese boys go hard. Based on the games we've already seen so far in Fields of Blood, there are two countries that are front runners to take the crown. It is China and it is Vietnam. These guys seem unstoppable in the team format. It's kind of crazy, right? Like in the West, we dominate 1v1s. It's undeniable, right? Like outside of Louis and to a certain degree CSO, there's not really anyone competing from the Asian region in 1v1s. But in team tournaments, it seems to be all about these absolute badasses. So curious to see what they've got in mind. We're going to hit the fast forward just for the early minutes of the game as players get set up. Hillendale can become sometimes a campy map. The interesting part is when you get to the 4v4s and the 3v3s, even if you are able to wall off these segments, you have to keep in mind the amount of pressure being focused on one side makes it very difficult for walls to last long at all. So what have we got Civ-wise as well? HRE coming in, no surprise there from the West Side teams. This is probably going to be a fast castle build. So far, we've seen Westerners exclusively go for fast castle builds. And on average, the Eastern players tend to go all-in feudal play. On a map like this in particular, fast castle makes a lot of sense for HRE. You're also supported by the French and the Mongols. And I imagine the English are probably looking to play a bit boomy as well. That being said, I am a really big fan of what we're seeing here. Abbey of Kings is cool, dude. Abbey of Kings in team games, I love to see this. So far, we've exclusively seen council halls coming out when English have come up in the 4v4 format. I don't rate the council hall very highly at all. The king, however, especially considering the meta revolves around having at least one knight civ, is incredibly valuable because now, though it takes a bit of micro, Morgan Freeman Arms can send his king with Eric Boss's knights to keep them topped off at all times. It's a really powerful strategy and a really smart idea against the Southside team, right? Because you've got the Abbasids who are going to play Eco Wing Starter. You've got Pink playing French, so you can actually beat his knights now. You've got Red playing Japanese, who's lightly fast castling, so he's not going to compete early on. And then finally, you've got a Chinese player with T. Rico in yellow. So another Civ that doesn't really want to have to deal with that early pressure. And another Civ that looks like they're going to be going multi-TC here. Who are Morgan Freeman and Eric Boss? Glad you asked. They're actually decent Chinese players. Sorry, Vietnamese players. I double-checked their ranking before because I think they were kind of like quite reasonable even on the 1v1s. Yeah, so Eric Boss, for example, the guy in teal. This guy is pretty impressive, actually. 225th in the world at the time of recording. And team ranked, he doesn't play too much of. But the crazy part is the rise he's had. Because Season 7, he finished 2,000 rank, and Season 5 was like 870 rank. But this season around, although it's only about 40 games played, he's already in the top 300, so a good sign there. And Morgan Freer Arms, dude, I love that name so much. I believe was also, he might have been the team player, because I think one of them played a bunch of team games. So Morgan Freeman Arms, yeah, so he's top 2,000 conk on Team Ladder. But back when he was grinding hard around Season 5 and Season 6, he was rank 800 and rank 300 respectively. So yeah, quite a weird dynamic, right? Because you're thinking, well, who are these two people to play with the Canadians? Kind of unknown players, but what's impressive is the fact they even got Vietnamese players in the first place. Considering that, I'd say Vietnam is an inward-facing region. They don't tend to interact that much outside. Right? Like, it's kind of impressive the way that Clearman keeps reaching out to me to be the official English coverage for these things, because I think they do quite well on their own. Like, for those that don't know, Clearman's community, he was able to fund this $1,000, right? Just like that. And he had the free-for-all tournament about 2 months ago, which was, I believe, another $1,000, if I remember correctly. I wish I could afford to just dump thousands of dollars here and there. Maybe we'll get there. So walls are starting to go up, and we talked about how this isn't really a reliable strategy. It takes way too long to get everything in place, and they're already too late as well. Especially when you look at this area, it's just so much ground to cover. Yeah, it's kind of like you need yellow to go do this, right? But the problem is yellow can't go and do this because by running out with his villagers, he's going to offset his TC timing, which he was looking for. And on top of that, because of the way you typically play China in the opening with the Barbican and Imperial Academy rush, you don't have the resources to get Wheelbarrow either. So he wouldn't have been optimal walking out and back, walling those off. And that means he is now suffering. Good dives coming in, so Eric Boss already getting some chip damage done here. The French will be assisted by this king, of course, so he will look to probably re-engage with them soon so he can heal them up. Other side of the map, we've already got Fast Castle complete. This is scary, guys. Puppy Paw already has relics on the way home. He's got one coming. He's got second one almost there as well. And I think he's got additional prelates now running out. So with the pressure being piled in here by both blue, teal, and green, it's going to be very difficult for any of these civs to contest. Like, I actually think the draft from the Chinese team is a little bit flawed. It's too much greed, right? Like, I don't know how people feel who play a lot of team games about seeing China and Abbasids on the same team. I'm not crazy about it. I think it's too much of one thing, right? Because you can see they're both basically playing TC Boom. Which means that the French player has to carry the game because the Japanese player is only going to participate around minute 9 when he has Castle Age. So you've pretty much guaranteed that H3 is going to get bare minimum 3, if not 4, 5 relics. Because you don't have the ability to block them. That's a dangerous position to find yourself in, right? Like, second relic is about to be dropped off. He's already shuffling out for another 2. He's got 4 prelates in total. I think this is a 6 or 7 relic game. And Magadai as well. A crafty detail by Wham. Love this also with the king. Dude, I actually think that... So I was saying I think English... I said this just 2 days ago. English suck in team games because they're reliability. Hear me out. The way they're played. People build Council Hall, they build their walls around themselves, and they build TCs and go castle. And then they build men-at-arms, right? So they don't do anything for the first 10 minutes, and then they proceed to build the slowest moving unit in the game. But if you just choose Abbey of Kings, you can do whatever you want. Because this king alone gives so much to your team. It's not just about healing up your knights efficiently, it's about the fact that these low HP Magadai benefit humongously from that sliver of HP regen. Because they're only an 85 base health unit. It makes the world a difference. It's a really cool build, and the Magadai already proving frustrating here. Another annoying thing is, of course, it means that your mounted samurai are always going to end up losing their deflective armor. That's a big deal because it means when Eric Boss charges in, he will activate his extra damage. Right? Like, that's actually a very intriguing interaction. Usually the problem with French versus the Japanese is that you never get your damage buff because deflective armor removes any damage being done. And the condition for you getting the extra damage for 5 seconds is that you do damage with the charge. Trade also on the way, so Wham will be just inflating that Magadai count. We do have Camel Archers coming out. So, this is one I haven't tested recently, Camel Archers versus Magadai. My instinct is Camel Archers do okay, but it's not as impactful as, say, against Knights, right? Because Magadai attack very quickly, and they have such low base damage, losing 20% isn't the end of the world, right? Because Camel Archers don't have ranged armor. So I actually think it would be very high value for Eric to go into that particular tech. Like, +1 defense here is actually huge. That's a 20% mitigation of damage, and then you have another 20%. So you're mitigating 40% of Magadai's damage in age 2. Puppy Paw already on his way up to age 4. We do have the Japanese player continue to spam out the Mounted Samurai. He is playing for relics himself now, but so far we've got, what, 3 relics home? I imagine 2 more coming in. Yep, they're on the way now. It might even be more, actually. Prelate is still shuffling out to the east side. Dude, he's going for everything here. For good reason, right? His team has done such a good job of controlling. I'm going to move into the exchange. Keshik's frontlining will absorb the blows. However, this is a 2v1. So right now, Wham's just buying time while his teammates are greedy here. Remember, Green did go up to age 3. Did immediately switch into Spearman. Smart choice here, considering most of the units coming out from the enemy team are Cav. Yellow, what's the plan here? Like, when are we getting the true power of China? Because if you have to wait another 10 minutes, it might be 10 minutes too late, right? You've got trade starting to build up for the Mongols. You've got H4 online for the HRE in a game where they're probably going to have bare minimum 6 relics. I think China has to be present sooner rather than later. Either that, or Eric on the Abbasids in orange has his work cut out. Camel Archers, I mean, dude, we've seen Camel, Archer, and Riders are OP in team formats. They kind of need to be for the Southside team here. Well, not going to connect. So Puppy will be denied at least 1 relic. You know, I don't want to deny you guys from those wonderful savings. You see that link? It's about to pop up in chat. If you guys like these type of tournaments and you want to see me organize more tournaments, take advantage of my code on Proteinworks today. There are amazing different quality products you can get. I've got the Salted Caramel Bandit meal replacement right now. If we get a few more sales this week, I will get renewed with them, and my promise to you guys is I will put some of that money into prize pool funding for that upcoming month. 200 bucks, to be exact. On top of whatever we were already going to do. Hand Cannoneers now on the way for Puppy Port. I actually really like Hand Cannoneers for HRE. The only civ I think is maybe better for it is possibly China. Even Japan feels a bit wonky, and here's why. Like, you don't have the mobility, right? China at least has the range, but Japan has the damage, but that can be kited. The cool thing about HRE, by comparison, is on such a big map, that extra movement speed from marching drills really does add up. And you need it when you're playing in these mass cavalry comps, because every second counts. If you're delayed on your reaction, 2 issues. You might be caught out of position, or you might be too late to the fight to really make any difference. Alright, 1s if you think that the Chinese squad, the Southside team, is going to win. 2s if you think the Canadians and the Vietnamese have this. AKA the Northside team. It's looking pretty good for the Canadians. Like, you know, the eco is definitely ahead for China. But the thing you have to keep in mind is the Canadians and Vietnamese just have so many relics. So the HRE are like, what, an extra 20, 25 villages? Right? And we have got trade adding in. So then you add in the fact they've got Imp Castle versus Castle. Also, the fact that WAM should be able to inflate so quickly. With him already up to 26 traders, we also do have Eric Boss going trade. So we have double trade from both of the Feudal Age players. And right now, there's limited interception. That is about to change, though. Looks like T-Rico realized what's up. Red has moved across here as well. So traders are starting to fall. There was an attempt to get the wall up, but you can see the gap that never got filled there. So an easy walk through. The good news, though, is when this happens to you folks, just go west. This is the thing about Hill and Dale when it spawns like this in team games. Oh no, they cut a trade. Go to the absolute opposite side. And apologies, I just saw what the UI done there. Let me pull that down for you guys. Not sure why it done that, actually. Calming moment here. WAM does need to catch up. These Magadai are going to start to fall off pretty hard. Hand Cannoneers are going to be revealed, and I believe, is that what I think it is? Oh yeah, of course. The Khan Hunter effect. Another reason why you don't build the Silver Tree, folks. So you remember what I said about like China being best? No, dude. Whoever is with the Khan Hunter is best. I'm kind of surprised we haven't actually been privy to a Chinese-Mongol combo yet. Because if you get to that late game, remember, with Pyrotechnics and then the extra range you get from the Khan Hunter, you'd be talking about, what is that, a 6.5 tower range gunpowder unit, right? Wait, 6? No, yeah, 6, right? It's, no. I'm right, it's 1.5 extra for Pyrotechnics, right? Yeah, 6.5 tower range. That's more range than a Javelin. That is not balanced. Obviously, WAM would have to get to Imperial Age for that effect. For now, it's just a 0.5 increase. Over on the walls, an attempted march in here. Looks like Rico trying to block this wall from going up. Morgan only pulling a single villager is not going to work out for him. Spinman defense is in place. Eric Boss on the way of reinforcements. The king is down. In the meantime, the Mountain Samurai peeling to go west. However, the Magadai and Keshiks from WAM are now on the way to intercept, and they do have their veterancies queued up. And this is buying time, man. This is buying vital time. Puppy Paw is building the stone walls they would need. However, Puppy Paw has big issues in his own base. We talked about how quickly this would snowball. We talked about how the wooden walls would not protect you. And now the Reaper has come reaping. 25 Knights, about 25 Camel Archers, each on one side of the base. Hand Cannoneers in limited numbers going to try to hold their ground, but that's not going to work out. The Kurultai deploys there from the bro to try and help him sustain a little bit, but that's not going to work out. Although they may be able to repel the forces on the east, it's going to come at a cost on the west. I mean, the good news at least about taking back east is they can resume trade over there, but there's a bunch being intercepted in the meantime. Hand Cannoneer mass has finally caught up. It looks like they were reacting to the Knights, but the Camel Archers are still having a field day on the south side of Puppy Paw's base. Another dive comes in. So of course vetted up. 15 damage per strike. Easy to snipe down these trickle units coming in. In the meantime, the Knights able to just run away. Hand Cannoneers are still pursuing, but this is a losing chase, right? You just stand to lose. You're going to be stuck with your Hand Cannoneers in the back of your base. You're still going to lose traders. You need someone to body block, and I don't like that from Eric Boss. Going into Horseman here. He doesn't want to ego chow the French player on the other side, but to a certain degree, he needs to. I guess he wants to just address the Camel Archers, right? Like, this is the awkward part. What makes Abbasid's Ayyubid so good in team games is that Camel aura forces an inappropriate reaction here. In a Night Mirror, you had to build Horsemen to deal with this unit first. Buckball. We're about to repel. Kurultai with a little bit of trickle heal, definitely helping out a lot there. So shot back will be successful in the meantime. 3 sacred sites have been locked in. It's still 9 minutes to go though for the Chinese squad. Could they do this? Could they hold on to the map long enough? We have got him on the way for Eric, so the Abbasids rather are about to get even more potent. And yes, folks, this is the upper bracket, but not the upper bracket final. This is the upper bracket, I believe it was semi-finals, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. Quarterfinals, sorry. Yeah, quarterfinals. Whoever wins this will go up against Liu Tao A that we saw beat the Polish squad just the other day. I just really struggling to deal with these Knights quick enough, right? I mean, this is the power of Royal Institute, by the way. It's why people go for it so frequently, even more so in team games. You're only ever going to build one unit, so you might as well get your Imperial Age an age earlier, essentially. Camel Archers are starting to shrink in numbers. Behind this, what does Orange really have coming for him? It seems to be just more and more Camel Archers. Kind of tricky, right? Like, you don't want to fight directly into Hand Cannoneer mass. You're seeing how quickly it shreds him. However, that could change. It could become favorable. T-Rico is now in age 4, and China with gunpowder is a pretty unstoppable beast. The other funny part, the reason why China is definitely #1 and H3 can't come close to that spot is, sure, H3 has more movement speed, but China gets gunpowder tech for free. They get the extra 1.5 range, and if that wasn't outrageous enough, if they go for Yuan Dynasty, they can match the movement speed of the HRE guns. Yeah, you know when you're like proud? So it's like, you know, anyone been there? I was there as a kid, right? Like, I would collect some Pokemon trading card games, right? And I would open up, like, you know, one pack and I'd find a shiny Charizard. And I'd be over the moon. And then there's, like, my friend. I called him a friend. He's just someone I went to school with. He had way too much money to be my friend. I'm working class. He had everything. He was not missing a single card. He had the limited edition, full binder. I think it might have even been gold encrusted. That guy is China in this situation. When I'm just a mere HRE boy. Like, that's the drastic difference. China just kind of gets everything. They don't have to choose a Chinese Charizard or a Chinese Blastoise. They can have all of them. I think it's what makes China such a frustrating sim in the late game. Like, you always feel like you're on a timer for multiple reasons. They're either going to end up going into, say, mass palace guard and flooding your economy, or they're eventually going to get that premium hand cannon in mass that you just can't contest. By the way, that element of China, I think, is about to get even more ridiculous in the upcoming Season 9. Sure, gunpowder tech has been nerfed, removed, changed, but they still have the extra range. They still have the movement speed. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm alone in this. I'm still of the opinion that Yuan Dynasty is just too good. Full stop. Bare minimum, it should be the Ming Dynasty that gives the movement speed. And Cannon Mass starting to build up the Puppy Paw, though. So we're going to have to see T-Rico looking OP, but this doesn't feel OP. This feels more like the Zhu Ji. He's not building hand cannoneers. They at least have an excuse they can't, but China has none. He's gone Palace Guard plus the Zhugnu and crossbows as well. Yeah, a little bit confused about this. I guess the concern is who's the front line. Because you've got the Japanese Mount Samurai and a few French Knights, and that's it. So they probably feel like, oh, someone needs to build our men-at-arms type unit. But then my question is, why is that not Japan? Japan has samurai. Samurai are better than Palace Guard for the fight. Palace Guard are better for raiding, sure. And maybe that's the thought process coming out from Rico, is like he doesn't want to take the main fight, he just wants to break into the base. But I think you are strong enough with hand cannoneer comp to break the enemy. Especially considering Eric Boss does not have that many knights. And he's still not age 4, right? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, did he not go Guildhall? Okay, no, he did go Royal Institute. He's just been very slow to get into the Bloodlines. That is now on the way in. As is the Berkshire Palace. It's kind of funny. Like, I'm always a big fan of Wingard, but... okay, I'm going to say someone I never thought I'd say. People never thought they'd hear me say. I think Wingard is overrated in team games. Because in team games, the pacing accelerates so quickly that having one building producing units shouldn't make a drastic difference. Not at the point in the game where you get that landmark. Whereas Berkshire gives you a lot of zonal denial against multiple players. So I actually understand why more players build Berkshire in team games than Wingard. 1v1s, I still think having to build a Berkshire 98% of the time is like a losing play. Or rather, you've been forced to do it, so you feel like you're losing. Camel Archer Mass pushing back. Knights are here as well. Looks like Puppet has got the full Giga upgrades, Men at Arms, the hand cannoneers. Wait, no, he hasn't. He's got no gunpowder tech here. Can activate the movement speed arrow. Surprised he didn't go for the attack speed there, considering how close they already are. And there's no micro to shift away coming out from Puppet Paw. Too little, too late here. So Camel Archers and Mount Samurai will be able to chase him down. We have got a Kurotai packed up and moving in, but it's not going to arrive in time here. A wasted effort, and now if he doesn't run it home ASAP, the Camel Archers could easily snipe this out. In fact, watch how quickly it can die. Watch how quickly... Dude, please, just shoot the... Okay, don't. Just kill everything else. It's almost like Wham's like, please hit this instead. Yeah, look how quickly that health bar evaporates to just a handful of Camel Archers. And now the Knights are going to come in for the pincher. Wham! What the hell are we doing out here? Oh, no! It's Tour de Mongol across the map with the landmarks here. Kurotai pretty much finding no value whatsoever in this game. And now it never will. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the Palace Guard able to shove this back. Turns out it was the correct answer because Eric Boss simply doesn't have enough knights to contest. He's barely got any, in fact, and he's still only in age 3. So the Palace Guard, they're already elited and yeeted, are capable of winning these fights, even against a unit that's meant to counter them. Numbers in this one are at least going to favor Eric Boss, so he will be able to win out. But more costly than you would desire in these type of engagements. It's also just a perfect counter to the Horseman, right? Which then enables the hand cannoneer follow-up, the Camel Archer mass as well. We have got a little proxy base here. Astronomical Clock Tower built in the center of the map by Yellow. Bombards, Nestaby starting to move in. They're looking to breach in and hit the farms of green. Wallcrawl is pretty cool here from Morgan Freeman at Arms, though. Dude, I can't get over that name. It is... Okay, can we agree Morgan has the name of the tournament so far? I think I might need to find some sort of little budget when I run tournaments for these kind of quirky things. Best name. Actually, no. I don't want them to use Smurf names. It gets confusing. Wombos are going to try to hold this back. Palace Guard are incredibly chunky, though, with 252 HP. Meanwhile, in the center, looks like the keep is going to drop. Eric Boss unable to hold on to the area as the swarm of ponies comes in. Central keep is down. Stone walls don't exist behind this. There could be a breach point straight down the center of this team of 4's base, dividing them into 2s. We've got a reactionary force on the way from Puppet Paw now. I don't know if it's going to be quick enough, though. If there's just a handful of torches, this will break down. In fact, even just with the Camel Archers here, surprising amount of damage coming out. Looks like there is going to be hesitance. Pink could actually just break through this. I'm a little bit surprised they're not trying to go in. Because the thing you have to keep in mind is, like, Eric's economy is so good at this point, he shouldn't really lose enough that he can't replace it, right? Like, you're playing Abbasid's late game, eco wing, 130 villages. He's even set up trade. So, to me, it kind of just feels a little bit unnecessary to play this slow. You know, right now, Eric is that guy on the edge of the swimming pool that keeps dipping his toe in. And we've all seen that guy before, right? And we always say, look, just jump in. You'll feel so much better once you do. Just do it. Looks like he's going to do it now. Meantime, Red, the one supplying other players here. Weirdly enough, sending food to all of them. Wall's going to break, though. Red gets the entrance here. Crossbows from Wham are going to look to back up. The Red Palace does get up in time from Eric Boss. And this could force a retreat. And the crazy part is if this team had just dove in earlier, this Red Palace wouldn't be up. They can at least deny the keep, though. And they can at least run west here towards Papipor's army. Pretty much a rush through. They're actually ignoring the entire army of Wham. Tail end, they will look to engage here, away from the defenses. Except for Pink, who apparently is like, guys, I don't get it. I'm French. Why am I getting hit by Red Palace? Elsewhere, Yellow has just oppressed Green. Yeah, this is getting rough. He went mass lombos against Nest of These. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a death sentence, guys. He's giving over way too much ground as it stands. Meanwhile, all of his teammates are locked in around the center of the map at the back of their base. They can't come to assist. They're in a chokehold themselves while they watch one of their friends being beaten to a pulp on the floor. No mistake about it. That's not an exaggeration. Freeman Arms is about to be KO'd out. Got 105 eco for the time being. But with the proxy base and the Nest of Bees uncontested, there's really nothing to stop Yellow from just chalantly walking into this base. In fact, Green is actually backing off a bit too much at this stage. More and more farms could end up being exposed soon. Orange still doing the dance around Purple's base. And the villagers trying to hide on the walls. Hey, if they were English villagers, they could fight back. I don't know if that'd be enough, but they could at least fight back. Instead, Puppypaw now hemorrhaging down to 85 eco. Of course, he has got the relics. He can replace quickly the Palace of Swabi, but it's still expensive. And by the way, final relic count, I think, was 6. I don't think he gained more than that. Kurultai still just inaccessible here. And, oh no. Oh no, because the camels were here, the gate was closed. So now all the trade is running into the enemy army. Wow, in the meantime, has reached Imp. So we have a full Age 4 game now on our hands in Age 4. Now, it might look like the Canadian Vietnamese boys are holding, but I just want you guys to look up at the economy. Yeah, they're going to get picked to the bone. The problem they now have is they simply can't afford to replace losses at the same pace as the Chinese stack. The Chinese stack can almost just be completely haphazard with their placement in fights. And as long as they take, say, half the enemy army with them, their replication of a new one is going to be much more drastic than the Northside team. That's crazy, though. Like, who anticipated this opening? I mean, I'm curious what brought Puppypaw and Wham together with Eric Boss and Morgan Freeman Arms. I don't think Eric and Freeman Arms play bad, per se. But, and I really want to emphasize that, because I think some people are going to look at this and go, well, the Canadians weren't the problem. No, they lost as a team, and also these guys performed well as a team. I was skeptical. I had my doubts. I actually think the strategy out of the Northside team was really cool. The overwhelming force of the Knights into the Relic absorption. The problem is, the relics in the grand scheme of things, in a 1v1, if you think about the mathematics, it's very powerful. And this isn't to say you shouldn't go for relics in team games, by the way. But when you get into a team tournament, the relics presence sort of gets diluted, right? In a 1v1, there's 5 relics. In a 8-player lobby, there's, what, 11? So it doesn't scale at the same pace. The population is 4 times bigger in a game, but the relic count isn't. And why that matters is because we often talk about relics being great in the late game, because they allow you to be more pop efficient because you need less eco to sustain your economy. The other big thing as well is like relics are great for the idea that the map is going to run out of gold. Look at the mini-map. When is this ever going to be drained dry? It would take over an hour. And this is why, by the way, I'm a much bigger fan of when we see HRE played as a feudal age civ. I mean, in theory, this idea of rushing him, getting the hand cannon is good, but you're seeing how much it's struggling to give any semblance of dominance here. Instead, Puppypaw is the one who needs a safe word. He's the one being dominated. 54 economy, 34 military left over. This man is dead. And I think this game is over. Jesus Christ, we even have an English player trading. Get me out. And that English player has been struggling, right? Teal has come to assist, but Yellow is now just holding them both down. Now, best of threes, folks, remember, so no farewell straight away. And it is at least an upper bracket, but kind of crazy once again how strong the Chinese-Vietnamese squads are proving to be. China takes the first game here. Canadians and Vietnamese are going to have to quickly and swiftly fight back.